I jotted down 10 really important things that I wish I knew when I first started surfing, and I'm going to share them with you today. I'm Savannah. I've been surfing for almost 4 years, and I'm super passionate about sharing my surf journey, encouraging you to get outside, push yourself out of your comfort zone, and just live life to the fullest. Okay, the first thing I wish I knew when I first started surfing, very basic, but I didn't know about this, is don't leave your board in the sun. This could also be for your wetsuit, but I'm going to talk about your board in particular. When I first got my longboard, I was so happy because I spray painted it. My boyfriend fixed it up. I gave it a whole new wax job. It looked immaculate. And then we were getting all of our stuff ready to get in the car, and I propped the board up on the fence with the sun shining directly on the wax. And my boyfriend was like, you can't leave your board like this because the sun is just going to completely melt all of the wax off your board. So that's my first tip. If you have a surfboard and there's fresh wax on it or any wax of any sort, make sure to just flip it over and don't have the wax facing the sun because it's just gonna melt right off. That also kind of goes along with leaving your board just in complete sunlight if you're storing it. Don't do that. The sun is so bright, so warm. The rays from the sun are gonna ruin your surfboard and it's not gonna last very long. So just make sure to store it in a shaded, cool spot, because your gear is going to last longer and it's not going to get worn down from the sun or any weather conditions for that matter. I really did not know that tip, and I feel like it seemed really obvious, but I was glad he told me that because I think I would have kept doing it. Also, that kind of goes along with don't leave your surfboard in a hot car. Same thing is going to happen. My second tip is progress is not linear. I still struggle to remind myself this because surfing can be so up and down with progress, and right now I do feel like I'm in a little bit of a rut myself because I recently moved down south and I'm getting used to spots. I'm trying to learn how to shortboard again. It's just everything's different, and then surfing is so hard in and of itself that when you don't have the consistency of the same wave that you're riding or the same board, or you just have conditions that are changing, it can be so frustrating, and that's kind of what I'm working through right now. All I'm doing is I'm just reminding myself that progress isn't linear, and I've gotten through these dips and ruts before, and oftentimes you come out on the other side even better. Learning to be patient with your progress, learning to have fun out there is important. Like today, instead of shortboarding, it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. I am taking out my longboard, which I would love to be shortboarding, but I just know that if I paddled out, I'm not going to have fun. So I'm taking out my longboard just so I can have a super fun session, challenging myself a little bit to take out my hardtop. At the end of the day, just make sure that you're having fun, and if you're not, maybe take a step back, evaluate things. Surfing is supposed to be fun. It's really not supposed to be like that big of a deal. I know it can feel like it sometimes, but yeah, just take a step back and be like, how can I have more fun today? Maybe that's taking out a longer board, surfing at a more beginner spot, going out with a friend, but just remind yourself that sometimes you're gonna have good surf, sometimes you're gonna have bad, and sometimes it's out of your control. So just remembering, you know what, you just gotta get back up and try again. My third tip, and this is the last one I'm gonna share with you before I start driving over to my surf spot. When you're first starting to surf, just practice in the whitewash. I know it looks tempting to want to go out and catch the bigger waves if you are keen to surf bigger waves. When I first started, I was like, I will take any ankle size waves I can get. I was so scared. But the nice thing about whitewash is that it just propels you forward. You don't actually have to paddle to get into the wave. It's kind of like boogie boarding, like the wave is just gonna catch you. This is what I did when I first started, and it took me a couple months to really get comfortable learning how to pop up. Something else that really helped me is looking where I'm going, so don't look down. I know it's tempting to like want to look where your hands are, and you can do this so many times when you just catch the whitewash because you don't actually need to paddle to get into the wave. Surfing, you got to build up those back and arm muscles when you first start, and it can be so exhausting. So honestly, practicing in the whitewash either at the beginning or the end of your session or during the entire session you're out there is a really, really great hack to practicing your pop-up and just getting more comfortable popping up on your surfboard. With that being said, I'm gonna go drive over to my surf spot. I already did a surf check and it looks good. I just needed the tide to drop a little bit. So I'm gonna keep sharing tips throughout this video. My next tip is you have to learn how to sit on your surfboard. I know it sounds here. I remember when I first started surfing, I was like, this seems like the easiest thing to be able to do, but whenever I've taught people, and when I learned myself, you kind of have to learn how to balance and use your legs and your core to stabilize yourself. So that's the next one. It doesn't take that long, but I feel like my legs got tired and like my core a little bit just from learning how to sit on my surfboard. So the fifth one is if you're caught in the impact zone and nobody is around, this is the important part. So what I like to do is just stay off my board, grab my board so it's not gonna like fly around or hit me in the head. I stick my arm out so that, again, it doesn't hit me. And then I literally just duck under the water and let the wave pass, and it kind of like jiggles my board a little bit. If no one's on the wave, if no one's behind you, and it's like safe to do so, this is one of my favorite tricks. Once the set waves have passed, you can get back on your board and paddle back out to the lineup. But I use this trick like all the time. Number 6 is get a board with enough volume. The more volume, the better. I know it kind of seems counterintuitive because it's hard to hold. You're like, it's gonna be super big in the water, but the board is gonna have more buoyancy and you'll be able to paddle and get into waves a lot easier. So I recommend a 8-foot wave storm. I have a code you can use. I think it's just SAV15. You can get 15% off a board, which I really recommend because I still have a wave storm that I use to this day and I've been surfing for 4 years. You can also look on just like Facebook Marketplace and find a board that's like $50. So a bigger board is going to be easier to paddle. It's going to be getting you into more waves, which is going to be super hard at first because you're just kind of like building your muscle strength. So more volume is better. Which brings me to my next point, which maybe I should have put these in reverse order. Surfing is going to be mostly paddling at first. I remember taking out one of my friends in Santa Cruz and he was like, why didn't you tell me that this is just paddling, it's not surfing? Because it's so tiring when you're out there and when you're paddling out first. You're kind of like learning how to balance on your board and the positioning. So it's going to be like, it's going to be a lot of paddling at first, which is why I recommend learning to pop up in the whitewash because you can kind of like take a break from paddling. But it's going to be training days at first, which is good because you're building up muscle. And it's still like so nice to be out there in the water, but if you go into surfing and paddle out thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to catch so many waves, a lot of times people like myself just don't catch waves at first, and that's fine. You kind of have to start from somewhere. But if you go into it just thinking, okay, I'm just going to be paddling and kind of like sitting on my board and observing the lineup, how people catch waves, you'll go into the session more mentally prepared. That's actually another thing that's really good. If you have the intention of paddling out and just going and like sitting out there, observing what people are doing, like how are people paddling? How are people getting into waves? What's the surf etiquette like out there? Learn how to read waves. It's so important just like being out there and sitting in the lineup. You are learning so much. My next thing is practice your pop-ups at home. Roll out that yoga mat. My favorite trick is visualize yourself on the wave. So when I'm doing my pop-up practice at home, I get my yoga mat out. I literally start paddling as if I'm paddling for a wave. I'm looking behind myself, seeing if anyone else is on the wave. Thinking about, okay, is this a right or a left? Oh, it's a right. Okay, I should be preparing myself for going right on the wave. I practice paddling. I look up, don't look down, put my arms right next to my ribs, pop up, stay low. I try to think about all of these things because you have so much more time on land than you do when you're actually in the water because everything is so fast in the water. So practice your pop-ups as much as you can. It's really going to help you out. Number 9, this is something that I still like to do because like I said, there's so many things that you're always thinking about when you're surfing. So I like to choose 1 to 3 things that I think about in the water that I want to work on for that day. When I have someone film me, I usually can pick out like so many things that I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do this. But that can be so overwhelming, and then a lot of times I'll go into that surf and I won't have a good time because I'm like, I have so many things to work on. If you can, think about like 1 to 3 really important things. Like one thing I noticed was that I was actually looking down the other day. That was one thing, and then getting into waves, I really needed to commit and like put my chin down more when getting into waves, and it was so much better because I wasn't thinking about a bajillion things that I needed to do. All I was focusing on was chin down, look up where I want to go. Like that's all I was trying to think about, and then I actually had so much better of a surf because I was just focusing my energy on these couple things. A couple things I always thought of when I first started was look up and where I want to go. 2 more paddles when I'm trying to get into waves. Like when I think, oh, I feel the wave under me, a lot of times I would pop up too early. So once I felt that, I was like, okay, 2 more paddles. 1, 2, I'm in the wave, then I can practice popping up and look up. My last one, but I have a bonus one at the end. Watch as many YouTube videos as you can. Like I said, surfing is like learning a language. The more information you're absorbing, the faster your progress is going to be. Whenever I watch YouTube videos, even now, I feel like I kind of like absorb that into my brain and subconscious, and I will kind of remember that out in the water. I don't really know how it works, but I swear that it really, really helps. You're already watching a YouTube video, so good job on that. Keep looking for more like technical videos. I did this so much, and I swear it helped my surfing and me progress so much during the first few months of my surf journey. My last bonus one is don't forget to have fun. Surfing can be so scary and overwhelming if you go out unprepared, but my biggest, best tip is to have fun. And to have fun, just make sure you go out prepared, and doing all of these things can really help you out and just make you feel and be more prepared to be out in the water, catch waves, and have fun. So don't forget to have fun. Sometimes if you're not having a good session, it's okay, just get out, go try again the other day. Sometimes I'm just like in the wrong mental state. Sometimes I have to remind that because I'll have a bad session. I'm like, oh, I want to quit. And then the next time I'll have literally the best session of my life. So don't give up. There's so many like variables in surfing that it makes it such a hard sport, but that's also the fun of it, is that it kind of feels like there's always progress to be made. So I really hope this video helped. I'm actually coming out with a beginner surf ebook soon, so stay tuned for that. My goal is just to be a resource to you guys, make your surf journey feel way less lonely, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you soon. Make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss a video, and I hope you have the best day.